Eleli Afrika manufaka izu dumulwayo iza imitondozo yetu.
How can Pan Africanism, as an idea, a form of political mobilizing, reassert the question of dignity of the African person?
Pan-Africanism, or any movement, must first of all, fundamentally, be based on the notion that individuals see themselves as subjects, as center, not as objects on the margins of Europe, not on the fringes of the European experience, not imitating or following after Europe, but are centered in their own African experience as African people and view themselves from that particular perspective.
When people say, Africa unite, I'm always kind of like, unite for what?
I don't think the United States of Africa is something that we should be thinking about right now. I think that a more efficient thing to do would be to think of strengthening governance and structures in the individual countries.
Individualism is what stops us from winning and defeating imperialism and neo-colonialism and white supremacy. If you look today in the modern world, our discussion now is democracy, good governance. No! Liberation! Freedom! Means of production. Who produces? How is the wealth shared? These are the issues.
The reason why Africa is poor is because the dynamism has not been coordinated by our leaders.
L'unité africaine, c'est une bonne chose. Et si les États peuvent s'entendre, surtout nos dirigeants peuvent s'entendre et être unis, je crois que l'Europe ne peut pas avoir le dessus sur l'Afrique.
Neo-colonialism is actually more confusing than the former colonialism, because then at least it was so obvious to everyone that these people were from wherever, Portugal, England, France, they came here, took the land. Now with neo-colonialism, they installed black leaders, but who ran basically the same system unchanged.
All these countries have gained their independence and through politics, but nothing has changed.
All of the things basically that we fought to change with apartheid have basically not changed. We basically have black people in government, whether it was Nelson Mandela, Thabo Mbeki, Jacob Zuma. People like to say 24 years is not such a long time, but you ask yourself, really how much time do you need to build toilets in rural areas, to install water pipes? I mean, some of these things, they can be done in a fairly easy amount of time if really our governments wanted to do it.
Certains de nos dirigeants ont le désir de l'union de l'Afrique, mais il y a certains qui sont à la merci des États européens et qui ne veulent pas, et c'est pourquoi l'Afrique n'est pas unie.
We all work for who pays us, and that's the problem with our leadership. They don't work for us. Their bosses are not in Africa, and this is why all of our resources leak away.
And the vast majority of the African leaders on the continent, those are classic pictures of neo-colonialism, because what they support is still imperialist institutions' agendas. But they have a black face. White power in a black face.
Don't let it all fall, let it all fall down. Don't let it all fall, let it all fall down. Don't let it all fall, let it all fall down. Don't let it all fall, let it.
unmask and recognize neocolonialism wherever we meet it, even when we see it in ourselves.
All these like expectations and this, Eurocentric way of living is the problem to what we are facing as a continent.
When you're talking about the USA, the United States of Africa, it sounds like another, monkey see, monkey do kind of story. I don't really believe in the aping the United States of America.
Once we call ourselves a United States of Africa already, we are following, a system, that's already in existence, a Western system. There's unity, there should be this, thing that has to run the specific way.
Pan Africanism is definitely the way forward for us in terms of unity and oppressed as a group. So if we're not going to solve the solution as a group, we will just talk and complain and everything will remain the same.
Since 1900, since Sylvester Williams, we've been talking Pan-Africanism. But you know why we have not had an effective Pan-Africanism operating? Because we have not had a philosophical base.
At the moment in Africa, do we really want to unite for a single president? No. I don't want a single dictator over all of us.
On the idea of United States of Africa, I think it's possible, but it's going to be very hard. What I, however, think it's within our grasp is economic integration. So the sort of integration where I can move, freely within African countries. I can easily go to, Togo and know I'm spending one currency. And if I go to Kenya, I'm not going to have to, sort out a lot of issues.
Can we unite over an idea, simple idea, which is African resources are to be sold by Africans in community? That's an idea we can all unite on. Just, forget everything else, just that one thing. We will unite based on our resources and how we sell it to the West. Everybody can sign up to that. You don't need to change your religion. You don't need to change your blood grouping. You don't even need to change where you live. But as community by community, if you're in a gold mining area, you can actually be liaising with people in gold mining areas in South Africa, in Nigeria, in Mali, everywhere, to set the new gold price that we will sell internationally. To me, that's what African unity should be for. And then that will help our leaders to work for us.
Our leaders, they just talk. When it comes to the implementation, they are all afraid, or let's say they are selfish, they are concerned because they know what they are getting from the borders. The revenue they are collecting, the police, the custom, they are enjoying on the borders. I'm a tour guide. I've been taking girls in 4 countries, Ghana, Togo, Benin, and Burkina Faso. Now we have some challenges about crossing borders with clients. So far as documentation is concerned on the borders, sometimes it's a delay, sometimes it's harassment from the police or the customs.
When you find people who have their bad art, they can just start creating problem and say, oh, what are you doing in this country? And start to say, oh no, you must give them some money before you continue your way. Otherwise, we'll be sending you back. So if you have the passion to go forward, you can just grab some money, then they leave you continue your way.
Our languages and our cultures, as different as they may seem, when looked at deeply, they are not as different. We are not as different people as we've been made to think we really are. There has been really a strategy on the part of our oppressors to divide us. Where we have our differences, we must solve them. Where we have, commonalities, we must work to strengthen them and develop them.
much rather for you to embrace the idea, the concept, the unique idea of the UPA, the United Peoples of Africa. That means that we can be connected here with people in Trinidad, in Japan, in South America, all through that Afrocentricism.
Afrocentricity is the theory that says that African people can never achieve unity until we first have consciousness.
Il faut qu'il y ait un changement dans l'Afrique et que les Africains aussi prennent à se prendre en charge pour que nous ne tendons pas tout le temps la main aux Européens. Voilà. Parce qu'il est temps que nous nous prenions en charge. Il faut que nous soyons vraiment, vraiment indépendants des Européens.
The African world, indeed African people here in the Caribbean, on the continent of Africa, all of us have been moved off of our own terms, psychological terms, political terms, economic terms, philosophical terms, cultural terms, linguistic terms, fashion terms, name terms, whatever. We've been moved off of our terms.
What makes a lot of us want to run away from this consciousness or from this state of being is the pain that right now globally, not only in Africa, Black people are under situations that no human being would want to be under. So it makes a lot of people not want to deal with it because it is a very heavy issue.
It's the European intervention in the last 500 years that is most responsible for moving us off of our terms. When you are moved off of your terms and you are not operating on your own terms and you do not view yourself as an agent, then you will never be able to create Pan Africanism.
You know, the most fundamental things about life is that you leave the world for those who come after you. And if we leave them a world that's not worth leaving behind, then there will be no point. So African consciousness, it's truly and only the only way that we can truly develop ourselves to our own benefit. Any other consciousness that's outside of ourselves is that person who's controlling us. So if we have European or whatever other masters, if we don't have our own consciousness, then it's that person's consciousness in our minds. So we have to decide whether we want to work towards self-development or to benefit other people and remain at the bottom, really.
Zambia, South Africa, Botswana, Rwanda, Cuba, USA, Brazil, Sudan, Lesotho, Zimbabwe, Ethiopia, Mali, Haiti, Gabon, Senegal, Ghana, Africa, Diaspora.